believe that the pursuit of wealth is an unrighteous thing, or it's not something that we should be focused on. But I'm going to show you this evening how that is far contrary to what the scriptures say, right? So let's get into it. We are in this position where we have to pursue wealth, you know, unlike these other nations that have generational wealth that are able to pass down and have passed down their wealth from generation to generation, setting up the generations after them, you know, continuously. We don't have that luxury. We don't have that ability. We've never had that, right? Not since we started going in and out of captivity. So let's read why we don't have it like these other nations, right? Grab Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. Go ahead and read that when you got it.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So if we will not listen to our God, read.
To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So if we did not do the commandments and the statutes of our God, he said that he was going to curse us, right? So, you know, we have failed at keeping the commandments, keeping the statutes of the Most High, and you know, hopefully we are working on getting back to keeping those commandments, right? But this is why we're in that situation that we're in, right? Let's continue to read. Grab verse 28. We're going to see some of the curses that have come upon us and have overtaken us.
Verse 28, the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
With madness, blindness, and astonishment of heart. When you are in the world, when people are in the world chasing the bag, oftentimes what happens is people will come into a windfall. We see this happen with athletes a lot of times, and some entertainers and artists as well. Athletes in particular, because they have a very small window of opportunity to stack a large sum of paper, right? Stack a large sum of wealth. And often what happens is they don't have the emotional, they don't have the discipline, they don't have the knowledge, and they don't have the wisdom to make that money that they're making, make that windfall that they've received work for them, right? And so they get all this money, they don't have any wisdom. The madness that they have is this desire, this fever to spend this money and show off not your wealth, but all the luxuries that the money that you've made can buy, right? So you go buy a house for you, buy a house for mom, you buy cars, you go on vacations. You spend your money until it's all gone, right? And now you're in a situation where you can't use your body anymore to make the money that you were making, and now you're broke, right? And now you got to go get a job, you know, slanging pizza or something, right? It's because we don't have the knowledge and the wisdom that has been passed down to us, that hasn't been passed down to us, right, that the other nations have. It's because we haven't we lost how to obtain and maintain wealth. And what that has been replaced with is a primal urge almost for consuming things, right? This is a very consumer-heavy society. The majority of companies out there are based on getting you to buy their product, getting you to buy their service, right? That's what most 21st or what most modern countries are about. Separating you from your money, right? That's what this whole government is about. That's what this whole system is about. It's about separating us from our money, making us dependent on this system, right? And we don't have the eyes to see that, right? What we have is this need to consume, this need to buy things, this need to collect luxuries, right, rather than wealth. We lack financial wisdom. We lack the guidance of how to move with our money, and so we pursue things for show or for comfort, right? Let's grab verse 28 and verse 43. The thing is, like, you can't even teach Israel how to go about moving with wisdom with money. They don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. We're not interested in it, right? We want to do things the easy way, the quick way, right? We want to get the bag as easy as possible. We're not willing to put in the hard work, the long days, the studying necessary to learn how to learn the value of money, to learn how to purchase assets instead of liabilities, right? We don't have this knowledge, right? And we're not looking for it. We look around and we see all these other nations and how they're doing and how they're not struggling like we're struggling, and we don't think to ask them, how did you get your wealth? How did you obtain your wealth? We ask for a job or we ask for a loan, right? It's madness. Go ahead and read that.
Verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
44. Read.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. We don't have banks in our neighborhoods, in our communities that we own, where we lend to these other nations, right? You go to Koreatown, they have their own banks. You go to Chinatown, they have their own banks. You go to the Jewish side of town, well, all of their banks are their banks, right? All of these other nations here in America have their own banks. They have their ability to deal, to operate with their financial means, right? We've never had that. At times when we have been prosperous and we have been able to build up towns, prosperous towns where we were thriving, and when we were able to keep our money in our community and circulate it around, they burn our communities down, and they tortured and kicked us out of it, right? So we've never really had the ability to gather wealth from ignorance and from being pursued by these curses, right? For not keeping the laws. This whole banking and financial system is stacked up against us. You pay money, you pay taxes, right? You can't get out of paying taxes, right? You go to work, you work your job, you pay taxes. When you have to pay taxes on your income, right? So the money that you receive from the job that you work, you got to pay up to 30% in taxes on that, right? And then anything that you buy, anything that you do with your money, basically, you got to pay taxes on that as well. So your tax, the money coming in, and your tax with the money going out, right? That's why you're not able to save. That's why you're not able to get out of this rut. That's why we're stuck in this debt cycle, because the system is built to keep us enslaved. It's built to keep us serving them, right? That's why these schools teach you how to be an employee rather than a business owner. That's why even your churches, right? They don't teach you or guide you how to start your own business, right? They want to keep you employed, so you're continuing to give them money, right? Continuing to pay your tithes, right? Which it's not even lawful to collect tithes now. But that's the way that they keep us in submission. That's the way that they keep us as their slaves in slavery. We're still enslaved today because of this system that we can't seem to pull ourselves out of, right? Read verse 48.
Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Read.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yeah, this is slavery, right? We are the only nation that well, you can go out and Google yokes of iron around neck, right? And you will see the actual iron yokes that they put on our enslaved foremothers and forefathers to keep them from running away, to keep them enslaved, right? That's what they did to us, and that's what we've gone through and are continuing to go through because we stopped following our Father's word. They pursue us everywhere. So it's not just here in the United States, because Israel is scattered across the four corners of the earth, right? How many places do these first world nations go to and rob them of their resources, right? Rob them of their natural resources, your oil, your minerals. We just go in there, start a war, start a coup, whatever, stir things up, and now we got to play peacemaker, right? And now we gotta put things together. Well, in doing so, you're going to have to pay us for that, right? And so now you're indebted to us, and now we can do whatever we need to make sure that we're able to separate you from your wealth, separate you from your natural resources, right? They do this Africa, they do this all over the world, right? To keep Israel enslaved, to keep us in captivity. This is what they do. This is what's been going on. Let's go to Sirach 31 and verse 4. Sirach 31 and 4.
The book of Sirach, chapter 31, verse 4. The poor laboreth in his poor estate, and when he leaveth off, he is still needy.
When he leaveth off, so when you labor all day, all the hard work that you do for someone else, and then you leave, it's still not enough. It's still not enough to cover your bills. It's still not enough to get you out of this debt cycle. It's still not enough to get you wealthy, right? And this is I want to be very clear, right? We're going to get into it, but the pursuit of wealth is not unrighteous, right? It's not. We'll get into it. We'll get into it, right? Grab for me now Deuteronomy 8 and verse 18. It's not unlawful to want nice things. It's not unlawful to want, that $4,000 mattress that when you slept on it, you got the best sleep that you've had in years, right? It's not unlawful to spend money on nice things, on quality things, right? But you got to have money to be able to do that, right? And so in pursuant of making life a little bit easier for you and for your loved ones, for your community, for Israel, you got to know how to pursue the bag, right? And the Bible gives us step by step on how to go about doing that, right? Read that when you got it.
Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 18. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth.
So the power for us to get wealth comes from the Most High, right? And so it can't be that it's a wicked thing, and it can't be that it's an evil thing, right? It can't be that it's wicked and evil and against the will of the Most High for you to have money in your pockets to do what you want, what you need to do with it, right? That's not a wicked or evil thing, right? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Read.
That he may establish his covenant which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day.
We're going to go to Job 1:1, right? The reason why it can't be a wicked thing to pursue wealth, right? Imagine a situation where your expenses, your monthly expenses, are covered by the companies that you have that are providing you with passive income, right? So no longer are you dependent on the money that you make from your job, because you've went out and pursued and got assets that make you money. And so now you have the freedom to not work on feast days. You have the freedom to either travel or to give money so that those teachers in your congregation can travel and spread this word, right? Now you have your time back, and now you have the financial freedom to go even harder in doing these works. How can that not be a prosperous thing? How can that not be a righteous thing? Right? When you're able to help others because you've put yourself in a good foundation, you put yourself in a good situation. Now you don't have money, you don't have a lack of money, right? You can lose your job and it doesn't matter because you've got enough money coming in to pay your expenses, right? But in order to get to that point, right, you're not just going to get a windfall of money and now all of a sudden you're able to use that to build wealth. No, if you've never thought about and never got in the knowledge of how to build wealth, if you don't read these scriptures, then you're just going to blow that money, right? Because you don't know how to be wise with your money, right? Let's read that. Let's read that. Job 1:1.
Job chapter 1 and verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil.
So Job was a righteous man, right? He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't sin or break the commandments. He was a righteous man. He was upright and feared the Most High. He eschewed evil, right? Read verse 3.
Verse 3. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East.
So Job was the greatest man of all the East, and the way that is portrayed, the way that you know that is because of the substance that he had, right? But we know that he didn't gain this substance from doing evil, right? We know that he didn't gain this substance from doing contrary to the will of the Most High, because of the first verse said that he was a perfect and upright man, right? So in being perfect and upright, he was able to acquire the substance that he had, right? And I'm sure he used these assets, right, to help him continue to be wealthy, right? To continue his means, right? He probably sold wool, probably sold his sheep for slaughter for meat, right? All the animals, all these substances that he had, he was able to use to make more money, right? To finance his works, right? And that's the idea. That's how you gain and maintain wealth. Drop down to verse 6.
Job chapter 1 and verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them.
Read.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
Read.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil.
So this is the Most High asking Satan, after Satan had told him, I've just been, out and about doing what I do, right? Walking up and down the earth, tempting people. That's what I do. And so the Most High asked Satan, hey, have you considered my servant Job, my perfect servant Job? Have you considered doing what you do to him, tempting him, testing his faith? Read.
Verse 9, then Satan answered the Lord and said, doth Job fear God for naught?
Read.
Has not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land.
So Satan is like, what do you mean? Job, you've blessed him. You have given him the wealth that he needs. And this is the thing, right? Wealth is a tool, right? Because what it is it's a hedge. It's a protector. It's something to keep away bad things that happen to you, right? That's what your wealth does. It is to cover you in cases of emergency. It's to cover you when things are dire, when the unexpected arises. Right now, living from paycheck to paycheck, a lot of people don't have $500 saved up for emergencies, right? So an emergency comes, and now you gotta try to get a loan, right? Or you gotta try to borrow some money, right? Because you're not moving according to the scriptures to gain wealth. You're not practicing financial intelligence, right? But Job was, and he was doing it righteously. And so Satan is recognized that and says, look, he's not really, how do you know that he's faithful? How do you know that he won't curse you? Because you've given him the wealth that he needs to be able to have everything that he has, everything that he wants. So why would he not praise you, right? Why would he not honor you? Why would he not do those things, right? Read.
Verse 11, but put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face.
But if you take all that stuff away from him, he will definitely turn on you. He will curse you, right? Because he's not faithful, right? Satan doesn't believe that. Satan is like, look, if you take all this stuff away from him, he's gonna turn his back on you, right? He's not gonna continue to follow you. He's gonna curse you, right? Read.
Verse 12, and the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand.
So the Most High is giving Satan the power to do what he does, to try to get Job to curse the Most High. The only stipulation that God put on him is you can't kill him. You can't take his life, right? But feel free to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? Now let's jump ahead to chapter 2, and we'll start at verse 1. Actually, let's keep reading. Go to Job. Give me 1 second. You know what? Keep reading.
Job chapter 1 and verse 13. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabians fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
Keep reading.
While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
So up until this point now, Job has had what, 1, 2, 3 servants come back to him and tell him that through different acts, he's lost all of his substances, right? Keep reading.
While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
So now, not only has he lost all the substances that he's had, but now he's lost all his children as well, right? It's devastating. All at once. Read.
Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his beard, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly.
So counter to what Satan believed would happen, Job understood how the Most High works. He understood that the Most High has the power to give, just like he has the power to taketh away, right? And he didn't curse God, and he trusted. His faith never wavered, and he continued to trust in the Most High, right? Powerful, you know. How many of us would have that kind of faith, that unwavering faith, when we've lost not only all of our things but our children, right? This is powerful faith that Job had, right? Let's go to chapter 2 and verse 1.
Job chapter 2 and verse 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord.
So this is another day again where the Satan and the Most High again. Satan again is coming in front of the Most High, and the Most High is going to ask him about Job again, just like in chapter 1. Drop to verse 4.
Verse 4. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
So yeah, he didn't fold like I thought he would from losing all of his things and his children. But if you smite him, if you take away his good health and make him sick, surely he's going to curse you, right? Read.
Verse 5. But put forth, verse 6. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life.
So the Most High again told him, do what you will, but again, you can't take his life, right? So Satan, well, let's keep reading.
Verse 7, so went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes.
So Satan smote him with sore boils, with boils all over his body and even under his feet, right? So these boils are painful, and when you have them on the bottom of your feet, it's painful to walk, right? It's a terrible thing. Read.
Verse 9, then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die.
This is his wife telling him to curse the Most High, curse the very man, the very power that provided all of that substance to him, right? Job understands this. Unfortunately, his wife did not, right? Let's grab a precept real quick. 1 Peter 3:7. We're going to come back to Job.
First Peter chapter 3 and verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
So we've probably heard this many times, right? Give honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, right? In this moment, Job's wife was being the weaker vessel. And it's a biological thing, right? A woman is biologically programmed to find the best suitor, right? The man who is best equipped to provide secure and to take care of them, right? This is a biological thing, and what happens a lot of times in Israel is, when we've got money, times are good, right? But as soon as money starts to get a little bit of tight, and now we got to start, making some cuts and changing our lifestyle a little bit. Now, your wife is feeling a kind of way, right? She's feeling the pressures of not being able to live the lifestyle that she's accustomed to or that she wants to live. And she starts to feel a kind of way, right? That spirit jumps on her. And, she's ready to start blaming you for things, right? And she's ready to start treating you differently because you are no longer able to be the provider that she hoped for, the provider that she needs, right? And a lot of times women struggle more with that, right? They struggle to keep their emotions in check. They struggle to keep their faith in check. And, they go on the attack for defense, right? They start coming at their man sideways and start talking to him a kind of way, right? And start disrespecting him because ultimately it's because of fear, right? But that's not how we're supposed to move, right? It's interesting how the Most High took away everything from Job but his wife, right? Was that another test? Something to think about. Why did the Most High leave Job's wife, who clearly doesn't have his best interest in mind, right? Something to think about. Let's continue so go back to Job 2 and 10.
Job chapter 2 and verse 10. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips.
So Job let her know what it is, right? He let her know, look, the Most High, just like He blessed us, He's cursed us. This is out of my control. You know, you need to step your faith up. Let's go to Job chapter 5, and let's start at verse 15. Because just like the Most High can take away, like we saw that He allowed Satan to take away from Job, He can provide. He can give. He can, you know, it's nothing from Him to make a poor man rich, right? So knowing this, Job endured, right? He didn't sin. He didn't curse the Most High. He endured. And we're going to see the knowledge, the wisdom and knowledge that Job has, right? Read when you got it.
Job chapter 5, verse 15. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty.
Read.
So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stopped her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty.
A righteous man is happy when they're being corrected, right? So Job understood that, you know, he was being corrected, he was being tried, and he wasn't going to lose his faith, right? He was going to take it, knowing that the Most High was going to deliver him, right? Just like He delivers the poor from the sword. Keep reading. Verse 18.
Verse 18. For He maketh sore and bindeth up, and woundeth, and His hands make whole.
So he makes you sore. He allows you to be sick, and He heals you, right? Read.
He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee.
So 6 times he will test you. He will try you. He will put you through trials. But that 7th, right? The next time He's going to protect you. He's going to deliver you, just like He said that He would. Read.
He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine He shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. So in all your trials and all your tribulations, if you're moving righteously, if you're moving according to this word, the Most High is going to protect you. He's going to deliver you, and he's going to take care of you. Read. You just have to endure. Read. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. You won't be afraid of anything that can happen to you, because you will have the faith and the trust that the Most High will deliver you. Right? Read. And for thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. Read. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin. Because you're not sinning, because you're moving in righteousness, because you're obeying the Most High, even the ground will work for you. The ground will become your asset, right? You will be able to do your husbandry and produce produce for nourishment, right? And even the animals, right? Even your flocks shall be workers for you. So you will be covered in all aspects if you're moving according to the word of the Most High, and you're keeping faith by doing His work, by stacking up your works in His name. Right? Let's go to Job 42, and we'll start at verse 10.
Job knew how important it was for him to keep his faith. He knew how important it was for him to endure. He knew that the Most High was putting him through this, and it was a test or it was judgment, and he was fine with either because he was a perfect and righteous man. Right? He knew these scriptures. He knew how the Most High moves. Right? Read when you got it.
Job chapter 42, verse 10. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before.
So just like Job knew, right, the Most High turned his captivity and renewed onto him twice as much as he had before, right? So made him twice as wealthy as he had previously been as a reward for his enduring, right? As a reward for his faith. Read.
Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him, over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold.
So they renewed him with some of the treasures that they had, right? And this is if you're moving in righteousness, you've likely found a body of people, most high willing, that are also moving in righteousness and that got your back, right? That's part of that hedge. That's part of that covering, right? Just like you put in righteous work to build up your wealth, you're doing the same thing with building up your currency among Israel, right? And that's how your congregation becomes your hedge as well, right? When you're going through things, because you've paid your tithes, because you've worked in furthering the efforts of your congregation, of your community, because you've taught where you need to taught, because you've given back, however it is that you are able to give back to your congregation, to your community, to fellow Israelites who are keeping the commandments, right, and trying to build the kingdom. They're going to be there for you. They're going to protect you. They're going to be able to provide for you when you're short-handed, when you've come up short, right? And that's part of that hedge, right? That's part of that wealth. Continue reading. Verse 12.
Verse 12. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses.
So double what he had, read.
He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters.
And even restored him more children, right? And Job went on to live a very long and fulfilling life, right? Let's go to Proverbs 28 and 22. So there's a way to go about in your pursuit for wealth, right? And the Bible lays it out to us that we pursue wealth in righteousness, right? We use wealth to be our hedge, right? To protect us and our loved ones from the bad things that can happen, right? Most High willing, during our tests and during our trials, we have that hedge, that faith, and that community that's able to be there for us, right? To bear our burdens, right? That's also part of that hedge. That's also should be part of your pursuit of wealth, right? Go ahead and read that when you've got it.
Proverbs chapter 28, verse 22. He that hasteth to be rich hath an evil eye, and considereth not that poverty shall come upon him.
But there's a righteous way, a right way, and there's a wrong way to go about your pursuit of wealth, right? And if you go about it the wrong way, a lot of times that's with haste, right? You're trying to make a buck as quickly as possible. We see it in the world. Instead of, going to school and getting an education, learning a trade, and working honestly to set yourself up for success. A lot of times, what we see in the world is pursuit of fast money, right? Drugs, gangbanging, defrauding people, stealing. These are all unrighteous pursuits of wealth, right? Even doing things in entertainment, doing things in sports, whatever. You know, when you're in pursuance of wealth the quickest and easiest way possible, a lot of times you got to cut corners. A lot of times you got to break laws in order to get these things, right? And if you're willing to move that way, then you're not doing what the Most High has commanded us to do. You're going against His will, right? And so the thing is, if you feel like sometimes you look at people, right, and you see that they've got money, and you feel like, oh, they must be doing something right, right? The devil blesses also, right? And we're gonna get that, but the devil can also bless you just like he can curse you, right? It might seem like a blessing, but it's really a test, right? So yeah, you might get some quick money, but understand that it's not necessarily a blessing, right? Even so, in your pursuit, you don't want to be hasty. You don't want to look for shortcuts. You don't want to go about it by unrighteous means, because obviously it's going against the will of the Most High, right? And you don't consider that in your pursuit for this quick money, you're damning your soul to eternal death, right? Your opportunity to gain the kingdom is slipping away because of your unrighteous pursuits, right? You don't consider that, okay, I might have the bag here, but what's going to happen to my salvation? What's going to happen to my soul? You know. Let's grab 1 Timothy chapter 6. So you don't want to be hasty in your pursuit. You don't want to take shortcuts. Even there are times when, hard times come. You have to fix a car, for instance. Something goes out in your car. You need a part. Labor is ridiculous, and so you try to shortcut it, right? You don't get the quality part that you need, or you don't do a quality work with that repair job, and it ends up costing you in the long run, right? Had you have done it right the first time, you wouldn't have to redo it, right? You wouldn't have to spend more time. You wouldn't have to spend more money if you just do it right the first time. Go ahead and read that when you got it. 5. Chapter 6, verse 5.
1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 5. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself.
Supposing that gain is godliness, right? So you're looking at someone who's got some things and you think, oh, they must be moving right. But that doesn't mean that they're moving right just because they've got things, right? Just because they've got a little bit of wealth, right? Just like the Most High, just like the Lord used Satan to tempt Job by taking away his money, by taking away his items, by taking away his children, the same way, because Satan's job is to tempt us. Satan's job is to try to ensure that we turn against our Father, right? And so, of course, he's going to have all of the tools to be able to separate us from our path of righteousness, right? And so if your stumbling block is not having money, that's how he's going to attack you. If your stumbling block is having money, that's how he's going to attack you, right? So the same power that he had to take away from Job, that's the same power that is given to him to oftentimes give us, right? To oftentimes give people. So it's not necessarily that because someone has things, because they have a little wealth, that means that they're moving in righteousness or the Most High is dealing with them, right? Satan has the power to bless, to quote unquote bless as well, right? So keep that in mind. Keep reading.
Verse 6, but godliness with contentment is great gain.
So if you are pursuing your wealth in righteousness, then you're not doing it out of covetousness, right? You're not doing it because you want to be able to stack your luxuries, right? But you're doing it because you want to build up the kingdom, because you want to be able to provide for those who are in need, because you want to be able to strengthen your congregation's ability to spread this word, right? And that's how it's supposed to be, right? Keep reading.
For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out.
Read.
And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content.
So we should be content with what we have, right? And our pursuits should be in righteousness and not in covetousness, or not, being greedy. Not your pursuits shouldn't be carnal. They shouldn't be to fulfill you so much as to fulfill our efforts for getting this kingdom, right? So we should be content with what we have. We should be more than content with what the Most High has provided for us, right? You keep doing this work, and as long as you're moving the way the Most High commands us to move, he's going to reward us, and that reward should be more than enough, right? Read. Verse 9.
But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition.
Read.
For the love of money is the root of all evil.
And this is a passage, a verse that we've heard all the time. It's been echoed throughout the ages, right? The love of money is the root of all evil. That's why a lot of times we feel like the pursuit of wealth is wickedness, right? But keep reading.
For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows.
So if you're not moving in righteousness to get your money, to get your wealth, then you've erred, right? Then you've gone against the will of the Most High. Then you've allowed the pursuit of wealth to knock you off your pursuit of righteousness, right? And a lot of people fall into this snare. Like I said earlier, this society is geared for consuming things, right? It's geared to keep you separate from your money. So if you fall into the trap of getting a little money, and now you're pursuing more money because you're using that money to buy things that make you feel good, things that show your status rather than things that help build the kingdom, you're falling off, right? And you don't even realize the sorrows that you are now allowing yourself to be subject to, right? Let's grab Sirach 11 and 11. So it's not money that is evil, but it's unrighteous pursuit of money that's evil. It's not evil to pursue money. It's not evil to stack your wealth, right? It's not evil to gain riches if the reason that you're doing it is so that you can afford to not only go to tabernacles, but you can afford to help others go to tabernacles, right? You can afford to help buy a land that you and your loved ones can have for tabernacles every year, right? That's how you use your wealth in righteousness. It is more righteous to move in a way in which now you have put yourself in a situation where now you have the ability to afford a loan, a down payment on some land that you can now purchase, right? And now instead of having to pay to go to someone's land every year to have your tabernacle, you have your own land, right? And you can build up that land. You can do whatever you want with that land, and you're not having to pay someone every year. You're going to end up saving money in the long run. Not only saving money, but now you have the freedom and flexibility because it's yours, right? That's wisdom. That's stacking wealth in righteousness. Read.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 11, verse 11. There is one that laboreth and taketh pains and maketh haste, and is so much the more behind.
So when you take shortcuts, like I was saying earlier, you end up falling oftentimes further behind, right? Because you're trying to do it the quick and the easy way, and oftentimes that's not the best way to do it, right? Oftentimes you got to spend a little bit more time, you got to spend a little bit more money, you got to learn a little bit more so you can do the best job possible, right? That's why you buy quality things, right? You spend a little bit more money, right? Whether it's service or whether it's product, you do the research, you spend a little bit more money, right? You find that accountant that has a proven good track of doing his work, right? You ask for references, you get references, you talk to people, right? You let people recommend to you products and services that they've used that they recommend because of the quality, right? It's not falling apart. It'll last forever. It's durable, right? It's solid work that's being provided from you. It's going to help you grow. It's going to help you obtain more wealth, right? You don't go to someone who doesn't have a business and ask for business advice. And you don't go to someone who has a business that's shoddy and ask for business advice, right? You go to someone with a proven track record of opening and growing businesses and find out how they do it and implement what it is that they're doing, because that's the proven track record, right? Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1.
The book of Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
Read.
Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble.
So we are bound to go through times of trouble, right? The Most High is going to test us. He tells us right here, right? And so when we're going through those tests, we need to remember Job, and we need to remember to endure like Job endured, right? We need to take tribulation with a smile, right? We need to understand, like Job understood, that this is the test of the Most High, and if I endure, he's going to take care of me on the back end, right? Because it's him that can make you poor, and it's him that can make you rich. Read.
Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
Just like Job was increased at the last end because he cleaved and didn't depart. Read.
Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate.
So when things aren't going your way and when you're facing trouble, understand that that is either a test or judgment, and you're worthy of both. So take it cheerfully, right? Be happy that you now understand that the Most High is either testing you or judging you, which means that he is still messing with you, right? Which means that he still has hope for you. He's still trying you, right? He still has faith and hope that you will turn away from your wickedness, turn away from your unrighteous works, and follow him and do his will, right? He hasn't cut you off yet. Read.
For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity.
Just like you have to heat up gold in order to get rid of all the impurities. It's the same way that righteous men are tested, right? Through that same way, through the fire, right? Read.
Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him.
So do what you need to do, and the Most High is gonna take care of you. He's going to do right by you, right? Grab Sirach 31, and we'll start at verse 5.
Sirach chapter 31, verse 5. He that loveth gold shall not be justified, and he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof.
If your pursuits of wealth, if your pursuit of money is about getting that money for the sake of having that money so you can trick it off so that you can spend it on nice things, and it's not in pursuit in righteousness, you're not going to be justified. Your works are going to be recognized for what they are, unrighteous works, and you're going to be judged accordingly, right? Read.
Gold hath been the ruin of many. Salakia. And he that followeth corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold hath been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present.
Read.
It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith.
So if you do things that are unlawful in order to get money, that is your stumbling block. So you need to repent, and you need to change your pursuits. You need to change your motivation, right? You need to ask yourself. You need to have an honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself, why am I pursuing this money? What are my intentions, right? Is this a righteous pursuit? Am I doing this to fulfill the will of the Most High, or am I doing it to fulfill my own will, my own lust, right? My own fleshly, carnal temptations. Right? You gotta ask yourself that. You ought to ask yourself that. Read.
Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, and hath not gone after gold.
Blessed is the rich, right? So here it is, the Bible telling us right here that there's no problem with being rich. There's no problem with having wealth, having money, right? We've seen a lot of righteous forefathers who were blessed, right? So it's not a thing where once you come into the truth, we got to turn away our pursuit of money. No, we should be in pursuit of money and righteousness. Money answers all things. Read.
Who is he? And we will call him blessed. For wonderful things hath he done among his people.
Read.
Who hath been tried thereby and found perfect. Then let him glory. Who might offend and hath not offended, or done evil and hath not done it.
Read.
His good shall be established, and the congregation shall declare his alms.
So when you're in pursuit of wealth and righteousness, it's going to be recognized. People are going to recognize that, oh, this brother always does good works, and it seems like the Most High is blessing him, because whenever he receives, we the congregation receives. Whenever he goes up, we go up, right? It's never a situation where he's taking what the Most High is blessing him with, and he's using it for himself, right? It's not a situation where because the Most High has blessed him, now he's off taking trips. He's off doing this and doing that, enjoying his life with his family. No, he's still here putting in the work just like the rest of us. And he's working to better our efforts, right? And that's what you do with your righteous gain. That's what you do with what the Most High has blessed you with. And that should be what your pursuit is, right? Read. Let's go to Sirach 11 and 21.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 11 and verse 21. Marvel not at the works of sinners, but trust in the Lord, and abide in thy labor. For it is an easy thing in the sight of the Lord on the sudden to make a poor man rich.
So marvel not. Don't look at celebrities. Don't look at these figures in the world who have money and pursue what they have and want what they have, right? Because nine times out of ten, it's unrighteous gain, right? It's not a blessing from the Most High. It'll be your downfall. So, make sure that you're focused on doing the Father's work, and don't let gold be your stumbling block. Read.
The blessing of the Lord is in the reward of the godly.
So the Most High rewards and blesses those who are doing his will. Read.
And suddenly he maketh his blessing flourish.
And at any moment, because it's his will, he can reward you greatly for the efforts that you're putting in, right? If you're being diligent and if you're continuing, faithfully to do his work. Drop down to verse 25.
Verse 25. In the day of prosperity, there is a forgetfulness of affliction. And in the day of affliction, there is no more remembrance of prosperity.
Let's get a precept. Go to Proverbs 30, and we'll read 8 and 9. So you wanna make sure that your pursuits are in righteousness, because on that day when the Most High blesses you for the work that you put in, you want to make sure that you don't forget where it came from. You want to make sure that you don't start going off because you want to use the gains that the Most High has blessed you with unrighteously. You want to make sure that money doesn't change you, right? In the same way, when you're being afflicted, when whatever you have is being taken away from you, trust that it's a test or a judgment from the Most High, and endure and take it with gladness. Take it because you know that the Most High is working with you, right? Take it because you know that the Most High hasn't turned his back on you, right? Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 8. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me.
Read.
Lest I be full and deny thee, and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal, and take the name of my God in vain.
So when you forget about the Lord, or when you take his name in vain, right? Both of these are sins against the Most High. And both of these things can happen depending on, if you have an abundance of wealth, or that wealth is taken from you and you have nothing, right? And so it's important that your pursuits are pursuits that will keep you on the path of righteousness, right? If you know that you that you don't have the strength to manage large sums of money, then maybe you shouldn't be managing the money, right? If you know that you have a problem with spending, with buying things that you don't need, buying things that are necessary, then that's something that you need to address, right? That's something that you need to get in check. If you don't have the discipline to balance your checkbook, to balance your finances, to make sure that the money coming in is covering the money that's going out, then you got to retool some things, and you got to ask yourself some tough questions, because you don't want to be in a situation where now you don't have enough and you're cursing the Most High with the understanding that it's His fault, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a test or judgment, right? And both of these things you are worthy of. So you want to make sure that you move in righteousness when you have great gain and also when you have great loss, right? Let's go to Sirach 14 and verse 3. Whenever you have what you have, right, whether it's an abundance or a shortage, you got to remember to what the mission is, right? The mission at the end of the day is to wake up the lost sheep of Israel. The mission at the end of the day is to pursue the kingdom, right? You can't take your riches with you. And so if the Most High deems it that you don't have, the wealth that you want to have, that you desire to have, so be it, right? But the thing that you can't do, right? The thing that you should never do is to stop giving, right? Stop giving your alms, stop giving your time to these works. It's when things get bad, that's not time for you to start cutting off your lifeline to salvation. That's definitely not the time. That's the time to increase, right? Go ahead and read that. 14 and 3.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 14 and verse 3. Riches are not comely for a niggard, and what should an envious man do with money?
What's a niggard? If you know, go ahead and answer.
A selfish or stingy individual.
That's right. It's a stingy, selfish, or ungenerous person, right? And right here it says riches aren't comely for a niggard, right? Riches aren't comely for a man or a woman who isn't willing to donate his time, isn't willing to donate his money to the cause, right? So if you aren't generous, aren't charitable with your alms, if you aren't charitable with the things that the Most High has blessed you with, He's going to take those things away from you, right? Don't be a niggard, right? Even when times are rough, you got to make sure that you're giving accordingly, right? Go ahead and grab Tobit 4, and we're going to read 8 through 11. And we're almost done.
Tobit chapter 4 and verse 8.
It's important to give your alms. Let's read it.
If thou hast abundance, give alms accordingly. If thou hast but a little, be not afraid to give according to that little. For thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity.
So when you're giving, like I said earlier, you're building up that hedge, right? When you're doing good works for the congregation is going to be there for you when you need it, right? That's your hedge, right? And that's building up a protectant for, in the day of necessity, right? In times when times are rough, when things are going bad, when you're down bad, because you've built up this hedge, it shouldn't be as bad as it could be, right? Go ahead and read.
Verse 10, Because that alms do deliver from death, and suffereth not to come into darkness.
Giving your alms is going to deliver you from eternal damnation, right? It's going to give you an opportunity to get the kingdom, right? So you don't ever stop giving your alms, right? Even when you have a little, you make sure that you give accordingly. Read.
For alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the sight of the Most High.
Alms is good, right? So when you have a lot, give a lot. When you have a little, give a little, right? But don't stop giving. Let's grab Mark chapter 12 and verse 41.
Mark chapter 12 and verse 41. And Jesus sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing.
So this is a poor widow, right? She doesn't even have a husband. Read.
And he called unto his disciples, and saith unto him, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury.
So the rich were given, right? And they were clearly giving more than the poor widow was giving, right? But the percentage of monies that they were giving back was a much smaller percentage of what they had than this poor woman, right? And that's what Christ was pointing out to the disciples. He was saying, look, she gave more from what she had than all of these rich, right? How much greater is her faith? Read.
And he said, and he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living.
So she put everything that she had in because she trusted in the Most High, and she has the faith in the Most High. She had the same faith that Job had, right? And we should have the same faith that they have, right? We're willing to give our all if that's all that we have, in order to further the Most High's efforts, right? Grab Luke, Luke 16 and 10.
The book of Luke, chapter 16 and verse 10. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much.
So when your faith is unwavering, whether you have a little or a lot, Salakia, when your faith is unwavering when you have a little, it's also going to be unwavering when you have a lot, right? And if your faith is not so solid when things are taken away from you, then it's not going to be great when things are given to you, right? How would the Most High give you the kingdom, give you an opportunity to rule in righteousness if you can't even rule your spirit here on earth right now? Right? That's how we have to look at it. You know, if we have a hope to get the kingdom and to lead in righteousness, to rule in righteousness, we've got to master that now, right? We've got to rule our spirit now, right? Grab Psalms 37 and 25. If you can't handle the little bit of prosperity or the little bit of tribulation that the Most High puts on you now, there's no way that you're going to get the kingdom. There's no way, because there's no way that you'll be able to handle it. Right? You don't have the discipline. It wouldn't be wise or prudent. Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Psalms chapter 37, verse 25. I have been young, and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
So there isn't an instance where if you're moving in righteousness, the Most High is not going to take care of you. Grab Ecclesiastes 7 and 12. So the Most High promises, look, if you move in righteousness, I will take care of you. You know, you might have to go through some trials. You might have to go through some tribulations. But as long as you endure, as long as you keep the faith, you can trust that on the back end, I got your back. I'm going to take care of you, right? Have that faith. Build up that hedge. Move in righteousness, in righteous pursuit of the kingdom. Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it.
So grab Sirach 26 and verse 4. Wisdom is a defense and money is a defense, right? But knowledge is that wisdom that will give you eternal life, right? So if you have the knowledge of keeping these commandments and you're doing it, that's the thing that's going to give you the defense that you need here in this world today, and that's the thing that's going to help you get the kingdom tomorrow, right? Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Sirach chapter 26 and verse 4, whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward the Lord, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance.
So we should have a cheerful countenance no matter what we're going through, right? Because when things are tough, we understand that this is either a test or a judgment from the Most High. And either way, I am deserving of it, right? Either way, I'm worthy of it. So I am happy. I'm going to be cheerful because I know, okay, I can be assured that the Most High is still moving with me. The Most High is still working on me. The Most High is trying me. He's trying to make me a better man. He hasn't forsaken me. He hasn't given up on me. He hasn't turned his back on me, right? So as long as I do what these scriptures say, as long as I endure through the hardship, as long as I focus on doing His will and put away my fleshly desires, I'm going to be good because the Most High says that He's going to take care of it. The last scripture, grab 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 17.
2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory.
Our lives feel like, it's our lives, so there is no, we can't logically compare, right? All we know is what we know, and all we know is what we live, right? And so our lives are everything to me. But understand that to the Most High, it's a blink of an eye. You're here one moment, you're gone the next. Right? So any affliction that you go through is short in comparison. So endure, because before you know it, it's over. How many times have you you've been in a situation where you felt like it can't get any worse There's no hope, right? You don't see any way out of this situation. And now you look back at that situation and realize it was nothing, right? You endured for a little bit, and the Most High brought you through it. So keep that in mind when you're going through things, that the Most High is with you as long as you're keeping the faith, as long as you're doing His will, right? So the question you have to ask yourself is if you are in pursuit, first of all, if you're not in pursuit of wealth, what are you doing? And why are you not in pursuit of wealth? What is your focus, right? And if you are in pursuit of wealth, are you doing it in righteousness? Are you doing it because you want to further the efforts of bringing the lost sheep back into the flock? Are you doing it for your personal gain? Right? This is something that you should be asking yourself over and over again, and making sure that your focus, your motivation is aligned with these scriptures, aligned with the Most High. Right? And with that, I say, Shalom.